Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third webinar this spring, sponsored by the Auxiliary Powered Sailplane Association. My name's Dan Malone. I'm going to be your host for this evening. Thank you for joining. Appreciate taking the time to participate. This evening, we're going to have a presentations with updates from DG, Pipistrel, and Stemme. Got representatives from all three different manufacturers with us tonight, so I'm really excited to hear what's new with respect to them. Um, Before we get into that, just real quickly, for those of you that are not familiar, the Auxiliary Sailplane Association is a organization that has a mission to increase the use and I guess the safety associated with flying motor gliders and sailplanes in general. Um, if you're not a member of our organization, you can visit our website at motorglider.org. We have it's a 2 years for membership. Um, uh, 2 year membership, I should say, is $20. Had a hard time getting that out of my mouth. Um, for tonight, kind of the ground rules. Please keep your microphone off and your video off as well. I will monitor the chat. So if you have a question for our presenters, feel free to put it into the chat, and I will ask our presenters that information. If the conversation gets to be in depth, I might ask you to unmute yourself. But for the most part, by having the microphones muted, we minimize distractions for our presenters. Um, we're going to keep the focus of our webinars this spring on self-launching sailplanes, so we won't be talking about sustainers. Well, I recognize that that is an auxiliary powered sailplane. This spring, we've decided to kind of focus more on self-launching, and that's why we've had the products that we've discussed so far focus on just those types of sailplanes. We will make a recording available through our website, the ASA member website. So if you'd like to view the recording at a point in time later, you can go to our website, and that will be under uh, recordings that we have available, not only on our webinars, but also some other topics that might be of interest to members. It takes about a week to get those up and running, so please be patient with us. We have one more webinar scheduled for this spring, which is on the 16th of April. I've been able to cajole some pilots and colleagues of mine to talk about different airports where you might want to self-launch out of. So as the soaring season kind of starts to get underway later this spring here in North America, these might be some airports that you would like to fly out of, and I appreciate those individuals who are willing to join us on the 16th to discuss these different airports and issues associated with flying out of them in self-launching gliders. Um, and then I guess the final thing I'll say before I turn it over to our presenters tonight, besides go high and far, if you have ideas or comments for future webinars, you feel free to email them. We have an email associated with motorglider.org, info@motorglider.org. I'll put that in the chat. And I'll also put my personal email in the chat. So if you have a topic or an area that you would like to present, please let us know. We'll probably pick up the webinars later in the year after the soaring season is over, by and large, probably October-ish. And just to kind of tickle your fancy a little bit, I've received news about the SSA, Soaring Society of America's convention is going to be held in Reno, November 4th to the 7th. So hopefully you'll be able to join us at the convention. So with that, I will stop share and uh, turn it over to Paul Rimdy. And Paul is going to talk about the DG updates. So, Paul, feel free to
Yeah, let me
go
start
ahead and take
sharing.
it over. Yeah.
All right. Everybody see
Got
the
it.
screen there? Okay. Well, thanks for
Yeah,
giving
we're
me the
great.
opportunity. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk tonight. I appreciate it. I have touched base with DG, the head sales guy there. Is his name is Jonas Kuhn, and he has given me some updates to present tonight. It's late at night there, so he's not joining us this evening. It's not a good day for him to do that. But I'll get going here. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so I started flying gliders in 1990. So I've owned a Schweitzer 135, Ventus B, and now I've owned a share of a DG1000S for about 15 years or so. We've had some great adventures with that sailplane. I'm a member of the Minnesota Soaring Club, cross-country pilot, contest pilot. I go for state soaring records a lot. My longest flight was 806 kilometers out of Nephi, Utah. Um, and let's see, those are the main things. So quick update on DG in general. DG is doing very well. They had some ownership with Velocopter in the past that went away a while back, and that has not been a problem. They have good ownership now. Lead time for new sailplanes had been really a problem for quite a long time. It had been at 5 years. So I started support being the DG representative, I'd say 7 years ago, somewhere in there, and I've not sold one DG sailplane into the U.S. since then because of the 5 year lead time. I mean, who was going to wait 5 years? Um, but they have improved that quite a bit. It's more on par with the other dealers now, which 2.5 years is what they're quoting for the sailplanes right now. Most of their revenue is from their repair facility. They do refinishing and maintenance on sailplanes of all makes and models. They also do maintenance on power plants and auxiliary powered sailplanes. They have a partnership with Yonker Sailplanes, which benefits both companies. That's been going on for a year or two now, a couple of years now. I'm not sure that completely all the details of that. Was there a question? No. Okay. Feel free if anybody has a question. They have been producing a lot of winglets for some of the older sailplanes that what they call the neo winglets, which have improved performance. And the most recent one is they just added the LS3 to that list, but there's quite a few of them, LS6, LS, quite a few others, also DG1000. For anybody that's curious, there was an AD for the DG1000T. They're still waiting for that to be approved. And I've got at least one customer waiting for the new parts for their DG1000T in the US. Unfortunately, there were two incidents where the propeller flew off, but they've been working hard to get that. They've got a good fix, but they're just waiting for the approvals from the EASA. They hope to get that in the next month or two so they can get the GEs flying again. They do have kind of an interim fix, which allows you to fly in the meantime, if I remember correctly. In the last 2 years, there have been a couple of ADs related to elevator control push rods in the tail about 2 years ago. And then about 6 months ago or 3 months ago, a new one related to the parallelogram stick in its DG single seaters. And that must be carried out by March 20th. If you have a DG single seater and you haven't looked into that, give me a call or send me an email. Look for the parts for that. And that is all DG single seaters. You said no turbos. So I'll talk through this slide very quickly. Just the Festrofit would be an FES or a front electric sustainer option for DG sailplanes. Older ones can be retrofit with this. I'm not sure the exact cost on this, but it's somewhere in the, let's see, I think the $80,000 price range to take a glider in, put on in the FES system, and get it ready to go. And they are producing DG1000 new sailplanes with the FES on the front as well. DG had been known for many years as kind of one of the innovators in self-launching sailplanes with the DG400 and 600 and 800 and the DG1000 M. They over the years they've gradually dropped all those products. Actually, they don't currently have a self-launcher, but they do have one in development. So that's why I'm here tonight. Um, the DG1001M went out of production a couple years ago. The DG800 went out of production a couple years ago, and the LS8 is completely out of production right now. For owners of older gliders that have Rotax 505 engines. They have a program called the retrofit or rear electric motor system. And you probably, anybody that's familiar with the market right now may recognize the pylon and some of the parts there look a lot like a Yonkers JS3 or a Ventus 3 because those parts are made by Solo, which is the company that makes the motor and batteries that are used by Yonkers sailplanes and by also Schempp for their Ventus 3 electric self-launchers. So this would be a kit that they would take your glider and build it into your glider. They're starting off with the ones that have DG505 engines because those are the ones that were hard to get parts for. The Rotax engine parts are tough to get, I guess. They are currently, I think, in the process of waiting to get enough customers to place orders for them to move forward with all the engineering. So there's some lead time on it right now, but if you have interest in that, let me know. It is, again, in about the $80,000 price range to do that. But you're getting, obviously a much smoother running engine system, electric operation. If you've seen recently some of the launching videos of the Ventus 3, you're getting, really good performance, really good climb performance. Of course, you don't get the range that you would get with a two-stroke engine, but you don't get the vibration issues either. So they're talking about climb, self-launching climb to 1,700 meters or about 5,500 feet and a range of 120 kilometers. So very interesting system. That would be with the batteries in the fuselage. They did a survey and they found that a lot of customers that were interested in this were actually interested in having the batteries in the wings, which kind of surprised me because I always thought that batteries in the fuselage would be more convenient for maintenance and for putting wings on and things like that. But their survey showed that there was quite a bit of interest for that. So that's something they're also working on or looking into. Again, they need to get enough orders to get that rolling. But I think a very interesting program. And then really quickly, just the rundown of what they're currently producing. The DG1001 Club Neo is their 18-meter trainer. Of course, it can also fit the 20-meter tips or the 17.2-meter aerobatic tips. And I'll go quickly through this because this is a motor glider group. The DG1001 S Neo 20-meter glider. They came out with new, what they call the Neo tips for the DG1001 series. And those can be retrofitted to any DG1000 or DG1001. I've sold a few sets of those in the US. The Air Force Academy bought, I think, 3 or 4 sets of those for their DG1000 trainers. The difference in the tips is they're just a little bit less bent up. I think it gives a more elegant look to the glider and a little bit higher performance. Then the FES version has been in production for a couple of years now, I think 3 years probably. So this is not a self-launcher, but a retrieve system or a get you home system. But I think really an elegant solution. People that fly with the FES say that they love it because it's just so, you're not really changing modes. You're still in kind of sailplane mode, but you just have power to climb. So you don't have to wait for a pylon to go up or anything. So it's a really neat engineering solution and one that's been very popular around the world in a lot of different sailplanes. And then the new one that they're working on right now is the DG1001 RES, rear electric, I guess, self-launch. And that one is built on the Solo technology. They're getting a lot of information, of course, from their partnership with Yonkers Sailplanes and with the Solo company that makes the motors and batteries for Yonkers Sailplanes. A little bit more information. Electric self-launcher, wingspan of 20 meters with optional 18-meter and 17.2-meter aerobatic tips. The DG1001 should be the first self-launching electric sailplane two-seater to be on the market. I know that there are other ones in the works. I believe HBH is working on a version of the Shark, but it sounds like DG may beat them to the punch. They've been working on it for quite a while now. When I was at Uvalde at the Worlds, I met with the head of DG, Holger Bach, and he said that the first self-launching DG1000 was going to be owned by himself and his wife, who's also a glider pilot. So kind of exciting. It's a great sailplane to fly, especially I think we all have to admit the sailplane community is getting older. If you're looking for a sailplane that you can fly when you're getting to the end of your flying career having a two-seater might be a really good option, and having a self-launcher would be very convenient. It does have the solo motor and the battery system used in the JS3 and the Ventus 3. I think there's some changes. I imagine it's a different propeller, but I'm not sure about that. Um, I know that the retrofit system was a larger propeller than the one used in the JS3. It's water cooled, similar to recent versions of the JS3. I know at Uvalde in the very hot weather, some of the older JS3 RES sailplanes were having difficulty launching in the heat, but the newer versions with the water cooled electronic system were able to self-launch, and this sailplane will include that water cooled solo system. First flight is planned right now for September of 2026. And I'm really looking forward to that date. Maximum climb rate of about 4 meters per second is what they're expecting. Total climb of about 6,500 feet. Three launches to about 2,000 feet. Maximum range 150 kilometers with two batteries. You can have either one or two batteries installed. New interior with larger luggage compartment and intelligent cabling concept that makes handling and maintenance much easier. Are also included in this new sailplane. The all other options that are available would be electric front pedal adjustment. That's a new feature. I've never seen that in a DG1000 series before. Onboard charger for the RES batteries, and a steerable tail wheel is, of course, an option, um, which was also available in the DG1001 when that was in production. They are taking orders now. They do have some interest for this, so if you're interested in this, let me know. For shipments, they expect to start around the end of 2027. And the price, which is a very much a rough estimate, is around $302,000. So not an expensive sailplane, but not as expensive as I believe an Arcus is a lot more than that, or well, many self-launching sailplanes are more than that. So that's really all I have. Are there any questions or anything you want me to discuss further?
Hey, Paul, that was great. Thanks for covering all of that. And I'm going to say my bad from the standpoint of I should have I had when I asked you to present, told you that we were going to try to focus as much as we could on self-launching.
Yeah.
So, but I do appreciate the fact that you covered some of the sustainer stuff. Um, so with respect to the ca intelligent cabling concept, could you describe that a little bit,
I don't
or
know a lot
any
about it.
information you have? Okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot about it. I think the idea is just more of kind of like industrial automation, having rather than running wires all over the glider for controlling each individual item, having little control boxes that would be mounted in different locations that have a data network that's connecting them to be able to do things. I imagine that's going to have to do with a lot of the different sensors that are in a self-launching sailplane.
Okay, great. Um, so, picking up a few questions in the chat, I'll start kind of covering them as we can here. So the cost is without the trailer, I'm assuming that you posted
Yeah,
there.
that's
Yeah,
correct.
okay, yeah. And just for those that are on the call, the last price I've heard for some of the Cobra trailers is in the $30,000 range for the new ones. So just FYI on that, but don't quote me, obviously. Question about the 400. Are there any orders for the 400 res retrofit yet that you're aware of?
I don't know. I asked DG that and I did not get a response yet. So if somebody's curious, you can certainly send me an email at paul@remni.us. I'll be glad to forward the questions on to the people at DG, but um, I don't know what level of interest they've had about that. I think there is, from the fact that if you go to the DG website and look at the news page, you'll see that there are several posts in the news section about a survey they sent out to DG 400 and 800 owners over the last year. So one about 3 months ago and one like a month ago or this month, where they talked about trying to find out what the interest level was, and those would be good things, resources.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. Another question about the batteries is I'm assuming, very similar to the JS and the Ventus that you can I guess, have a spare set of batteries to switch out if you're in a kind of a training environment with that. Do you want to comment on that, Paul?
Yeah, my understanding is that they will be loaded into the fuselage a lot like the JS3 and the Ventus 3, and that they would be swap outable. They're not inexpensive, but certainly it would be a possibility to have extras to plug in if you were doing training.
Excellent. Okay. All right. At the moment, I guess that I don't see any other questions for you, Paul, but if you could hang around, maybe toward the
Yeah,
end of the
definitely.
webinar, we'll open it up for questions for everybody again. So
Mhm.
thanks very much. So next, we're going to have Kagan Nelson provide an overview on the Pipistrel line of gliders. So Kagan?
Yes. Share my screen real quick.
Got
All
it.
right.
Thank
Can
you.
everyone see that? Awesome.
Yep.
Dan, I appreciate you letting us come out. I know you were originally planning on Jason. Kind of threw it on me, so I apologize. I'm just kind of gathering my bearings. But just as a quick introduction, so I work for Elemental Aviation, which is the Western United States distributor for Pipistrel. Pipistrel is a Textron company. We're based over in Heber City, Utah, which, if you're not familiar with it, there is a gliding community out here. It's just north of Nephi, Utah as well. A little bit of background on me. Just so I wasn't, unfortunately, I didn't start my pilot training in the glider world. Sometime later on in life, back about a year ago, I got my CFIG. I worked in my commercial glider as well during that time. And it's been a great kind of process for me. We'll just kind of provide a little quick introduction to Pipistrel since the Textron acquisition. I got a quick video for you, and not too long. It's only about a minute long.
Someday. We know it's out there. Because the promise of someday constantly challenges us to find new ways to fill the skies with sustainable possibilities that know no boundaries. Someday is here. With the first and only type certified electric aircraft in the world, created by Pipistrel. The age of sustainable aviation has arrived. And this is just the beginning. Pipistrel by Textron Aviation.
So just a quick overview of Pipistrel for those that don't know. Pipistrel was originally founded in Slovenia by an aviation pioneer by the name of Ivo Baskerol. He's a part of the aircraft designer who believed in aviation that could be made more efficient, accessible, and environmentally responsible. The Pipistrel brand was originally started in 1987 and was later formally known in 1989. It actually began as a small workshop that originally built on powered gliders and ultralight aircraft. They mainly focused on lightweight construction and low operating costs. You can see a lot of that in today's operations. Around the 1990s, the company transitioned to a more advanced composite aircraft production, getting international recognition with highly efficient designs such as the Sinus, which was produced in 1995. Innovation efficiency quickly became a lot of the foundation of what Pipistrel was known for. Over time, Pipistrel emerged as a global leader in electric aviation, developing the Taurus Electro and the Velis Electro, which was the first fully electric aircraft to receive that type certification. And around 2022, Pipistrel was actually acquired by Textron, which is the parent company for Cessna and Beechcraft, which marked a new phase of growth, combining innovative design and the resources of a major aerospace organization. We've seen a lot of that on the factory front, reducing lead times, also reduce error, enhancing the efficiency and parts availability from sailplanes all the way through our airplanes. Today, Pipistrel is going to represent that company as that's always consistently challenged the traditional aviation by combining the innovative design and sustainability to help shape what we will know as the future of aviation. The first one that I want to kind of talk on is going to be that Taurus Electro. So the Taurus Electro is going to be your modern electric self-launch sailplane. It was originally designed for independence and operational efficiency. It's got a 41-to-1 glider ratio, and it's got a retractable electric propulsion system, which is going to offer that quiet, reliable launch capability without the reliance on a tow aircraft or a ground crew. You'll also notice that compared to the tandem seating you'll see in many gliders, it does have a side seating configuration. A lot of people like this for instruction, familiarization, and even shared cross-country flying. When this aircraft is paired with our solar-powered trailer, so there's two trailer options. There's going to be a non-solar and there's going to be a solar-powered trailer option. When it's paired with the solar-powered trailer, it's actually going to be able to achieve the full operational self-sustainability. You're not going to be able to see for the solar-powered trailer, you're looking at about a 6-hour charge time on a sunny day. So it's not something you're going to rely on for multiple flights during a day or anything like that. But it does help achieve that full operational self-sustainability and allowing the charging and flight operations in those remote locations with minimal infrastructure. It's an ideal solution for those soaring clubs seeking flexibility and that long-term efficiency. Lead time on the Taurus Electro is actually quite short compared to what we've seen in the past. When I first started working for Elemental, we were seeing about a 12 to 18-month lead time on these aircraft. Since the Textron acquisition, that's been reduced to about 8 to 12 months for a new order or a custom order. Whereas right now, we actually at Elemental, we have 2 that are currently in inventory, so we do have immediate availability for the Taurus. The price on that, you're going to be looking at 236,000 euros, and that's just for the aircraft itself, and that's your outdoor cost. That non-solar trailer that I was referencing before, you're going to be looking at about 22,000 euros. And then for that solar-powered trailer, it is about 35,000 euros. So some of the key features of that Taurus Electro, it's got the electric propulsion system. And with this propulsion system, you're going to be looking at 9,000 feet of climb performance on a single charge. Most of the time, we usually see users that are doing 3,000 climbs, and then you're going to find lift. And then with that high aspect ratio wings, the 41 to glider ratio. And then, like I said, it was the fully self-sustaining when paired with that solar-powered trailer. The next one that I want to introduce is going to be that Sinus. We have the Sinus Flex Max. The Flex really is just introducing, we got 2 different types of wing tips. One's going to be used for soaring, and then the other one's going to be used more for cruise. So the Sinus is kind of known for its being a versatile touring motor collider that combines the efficient cross-country performance with practical self-launch capability. This one's going to be powered by the Rotax 912 UL, the 80 horsepower engine installed with the Vario propeller. So you are still going to be able to feather that prop when you turn off the engine and go out and soar with those longer wingtips. The removable wingtips do allow the operators to tailor performance to whatever their specific mission needs are. So the long tips are going to be delivering about 27-to-1 glider performance for that soaring efficiency, whereas the short wingtips, they're going to be reducing that to about 24-to-1. With those short wingtips, you are going to see a little bit of enhanced handling and cruise performance. This is something they're working on to push into the long wingtips. There hasn't been any developments yet, but I know that's supposed to be coming out in the next couple of years. This one is also going to be equipped, if you can see the avionics there. It's not equipped with your standard gliding avionics, I should say. This one's going to be equipped with the Garmin G3X, that GNX 375, the G5 backup. We've seen in the most recent years, unfortunately, with the Textron acquisition, it's been more catered towards those pilots that are coming to the end of their how should I say, they no longer qualify for a medical. And so this is kind of a unique opportunity for them to continue flying, continue to stay up in the air without the need for that medical. And so with the lead time on this one, you're looking about 3 weeks currently. We do have some that are stored in our warehouse over in Wichita with Textron. And this is for our standard configuration. I'm sure you guys are aware, as once a company gets absorbed by a larger company, things become standardized. Pipistrel was very good about kind of catering to individual needs and making a whole bunch of individual aircraft that. But the problem with that is we weren't able to upkeep with downtime or lead time on parts because everything was so specific. We had to pull up wiring diagrams for specific serial numbers. And so standardizing everything has reduced that for us, but you have also kind of lost the ability to customize these. With that being said, we do still have some options where you can customize it. With those, you're looking at a 6 to 8 month lead time, so still not super crazy. And the price for this one, you're going to be looking at 232,000 euros, and that's your all-in cost. We don't see many people trailering these. There is a trailer that's offered. It's about the same price as the one that you'll see at the Taurus Electro. So you're about 20 to 30,000 euros for that. But like I said, we don't usually see that too often. Some key features of the Sinus Flex Max, like I said, we do have those removable wingtips. You're going to be able to achieve a better cruise performance when you do have the short wingtips. So you're cruising about 110 true, burn about 3 gallons an hour while the engine's running. You move those wingtips, that's when you're going to be looking into going soaring and gliding with those ones. So we do have that efficient touring capability, and then the integrated ground avionics. So just kind of comparing the two. Right now, Pipistrel, these are two self-launch gliders that we have available through Pipistrel. Comparing the Sinus Flex Max and the Taurus Electro, it's important to recognize that while both are self-launch capable aircraft, they do serve slightly different operational priorities within the soaring community. So the Taurus Electro is purpose-built electric self-launch subplane with that 41:1 glider ratio. Its performance places it from in the high-performance soaring category. And then it's got a retractable electric propulsion system that allows for the clean aerodynamic profile and glide, and the side-by-side seating profile, which makes it particularly well suited for instruction, club checkouts, transition training, and when it's paired with a solar powered trailer, it provides or offers full operational independence. There are 2 different types of chargers that you can purchase with the Taurus Electro. The first one's going to become included with the purchase price, and that's going to be more of a standard rate. So on a standard rate, you're going to be seeing similar to what you would expect with that the solar power trailer. You're about 6 to 8 hours for a charge time. Whereas if you bump up to the next stage of charger, we call it stage 2 charge, and that one's going to be more of a high speed. So you're going to be looking at 2 to 3 hours for a full charge on that one. We see this as a pretty attractive feature for clubs. And those training solutions or those flight schools that are training out of this, because they can get multiple flights up in a day. They don't have to rely on a launch plane or anything like that. It does also come equipped with the CG hook and a front tow hook if you do offer a winch tow or an arrow tow. And then in contrast, the Sinus Flex Max is going to be the touring motor glider. It's going to balance the soaring capability with cross-country travel flexibility. So if you were to find yourself a little too far from the field and you think you're going to have to put it in a field, you can just turn the engine back on and get back over there. And we do have 26 gallons of usable fuel on the Sinus. Burn about 3 gallons an hour. You have plenty of fuel to get more places you want. With those removable wingtips, you can choose between that enhanced glide performance with the long wingtips or the more agile and better cruise, the short wingtips. It does retain that strong soaring characteristics while also functioning efficiently as a traveling aircraft. And the integrated avionics and cruise efficiency make it practical for most pilots, especially those ones that are wanting to combine with soaring with the point-to-point travel. The Sinus may be suited better for those clubs with members interested in touring and recreational cross-country flying, mixed-use organizations combining powered and glider operations. And then, like I was saying earlier, groups operating from fields where sustained soaring conditions may not always be present, which is pretty common with us over in Heber. A lot of time, our soaring season is relatively short. Unfortunately, we can usually push out to October, but usually it's starting to dwindle in September, maybe even late August, depending on what's going on here. And then it usually does cater to, like I said, those pilots that usually no longer qualify for medical, but still want to fly. I would say that that's about 80% of our customers for the Sinus. And like I was saying, so that they both do offer that operational autonomy and flexibility. reduce operating costs just from the Taurus being electric, and then the modern composite reconstruction. I do want to note on the Taurus, battery technology is always improving. We're constantly seeing new software updates that are rolling out. That alone has increased the. When I first started working with Pipistrel, we were only seeing about 8,000 feet of climb performance available from the battery, and now we're up to 9,000. That's just through software updates alone. With the new battery technology that is rolling out, I do know Pipistrel is working on a retrofit so that you can swap out to the newer stage of batteries. With that being said, I know this was asked on the previous presenter slide, but the batteries are liquid cooled and they're installed in the aircraft, so you don't have the option to pull them out and switch, unlike those ones. And then I think that's so that would be it.
And this has been great, Kagan. I appreciate you taking over and being willing to present on these products. Lots of exciting times. I've actually seen the Electro down in Nephi. One of your customers has one down there occasionally, trailers it down
Yeah.
from the Salt Lake area. Very nice ship. A question about that Electro is the wingspan. Can you provide us a little bit of details on both the wingspan on the Electro and then usable load for both the Electro and the Scenics?
Yeah. So the on the Bus Electro, you're going to be about 50 feet. So just under 50 feet or 15 meters for the wingspan. And then over in the Sinus, you have with those wingtips, those are the short wingtips, as we call them, the cruise wingtips, you're going to be just under 40 feet. It's 39.5 feet long. And then with the longer wingtips, that pushes you back up to that 50 feet wingspan. Useful load for this Taurus, it ranges, but you're about 460 pounds for useful load in that Taurus. And then with the Sinus, you are just over 500 pounds. So usually with fuel, like I said, where we got 26 ounces of usable fuel, we're rarely ever topping off to the full 26 because that takes a lot of our useful load away. We're usually putting 2 people in there and taking off with half tanks or quarter tanks.
Excellent. Okay, great. One of the things that with these designs is that the wingtips are a little, or the wings are a little higher up. I can't recall, but on the Taurus, do you typically have problems with the runway lights or the taxiway lights with those? Are they able to, do they clear it pretty easily, or is it, or how close is it? Or
Yeah,
does
so
it, do you have to worry about that? I guess is what I tried to say.
yeah. So they do clear it. They do clear the wingtip or the runway lights, excuse me. I will note though, so the wheelbase, with it being side by side seating, the wheelbase is directly underneath you, and it's pretty narrow. So you will notice as you go over bumps and stuff like that, you'll start to rock. Luckily, we have not had any wing strikes that we are aware of, but we know that we have came really close. I know we've pushed this towards Pipistrel as well, and so on future designs, they're looking to add skid plates or some sort of protectant for if that does happen, it's not going to damage the wing.
Yeah. There was a question about virus, wingtips for the virus. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with
Yeah.
that, but I thought I would ask that question
So
since it was
that's
asked in the chat.
a pretty common question. So the Virus in let's see, it was probably 2010, 2011, or somewhere around there. You were seeing it was pretty regularly that the Virus could be registered as a motor glider. Since the Textron acquisition and things have kind of become more standardized, the FAA has cracked down on that. So unfortunately, can't register the Virus as a motor glider anymore. And so it's just going to be that Vera short wing that you're going to see on the market today. Occasionally, you'll see one that will come through or be listed on controller or trade a plane that will be a Virus registered as a glider. But those are pretty rare to come by. You won't see them coming from the factory that way.
Excellent. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions for you at the moment, but as like I asked Paul to stick around, I'd appreciate it if you could stick around as well. We have one more presentation. So Zach from Stemme and Wes also. So Yeah. I'll turn it over to you guys. There you go. Okay. Yeah, just get your screen up and running. Thank you.
No
I can
problem.
see it.
Thanks. Thanks for having us, Dan. The factory was also incredibly excited to hear. I told them just to get some sleep tonight and not wake up at 2 a.m. to hop on, but just know that they are excited and eager to support should any questions or any need from their side arise from the conversation tonight. I've also got Wes Chumley online. Wes has served alongside me with Stemme for the past 12 years. He's been in charge of flight operations, head of maintenance, test pilot, you name it, he's done it. So I'm glad to have him on here as well tonight. Let's see. So for Stemme, we're trying to touch on just a few brief topics, keep our advice time concise tonight. Basically, we'll go through some production and order statuses, uh, a few different design updates that we've had to the S12 throughout the years, kind of where they're heading down the road, and obviously the existing support and service infrastructure around ownership and life as a Stemme owner. Just as a brief well, not brief, pretty extensive spec list, but just to overview the current kind of flagship model in case anyone's not super familiar with Stemme. Right now, what we're mainly offering is the S12G, which is just a variant of the S12. As far as variations go now on the models that the factory produces, it's just a matter of avionics variations. So otherwise, everything else is pretty standardized now. Doing airframe side of things, the standard wingspan is a 21.7-meter wing. And we've got also a 25-meter wing, long wing version that used to be standard, but with a recent change, they've updated now and they offer the 21.7 as the standard. We've got a 53-to-1 glide ratio on the long wing. We've got about a 50-to-1 on the short wing. And then as far as avionics go on the G, we run a dual Garmin setup, G3Xs, the LX9000, and then some accessory avionics and whatnot for comms. And then we're still running the Rotax 914 as that unit's been kind of on board with the Stemmies since about 98, 99. So it's quite mature at this stage. One of the things we're talking about in a little bit is kind of where they're looking at next as the 914 begins its end of life phase from a new production standpoint and where they're looking at going down the road. We're still using the same unique Stemme power plant design with the nose cone that pushes forward, the retractable blades that fold. We've got a variable pitch propeller mechanism built into that. And then outside of that, you still got retractable gear and all the other standard Stemme features. Not much has changed from an airframe standpoint, really, for the past, about 25 years. From a production status standpoint, the S12G remains the core production model that we're building there in Germany. All production right now is being done in Pasewalk, Germany. We still have our headquarters in Strasbourg. However, that's really become more of a maintenance, repair station, and service center. And now we've moved production entirely from A to Z up to Pasewalk. Right now, lead time is about 5 to 9 months, depending on how the aircraft is configured, which has been a big improvement from years past. The current management team at the factory has been on for about 4 years, and when they came in, that was really about the number one target that they wanted to tackle. And the head of production there has done a tremendous job of modernizing the production cycle, figuring out ways where there was waste, and now we're seeing kind of a little bit more of a lean production system there, which has been great, both from getting the aircraft to customers sooner, but also just from a scheduling and not having to deal with delays and those not so pleasant conversations with customers waiting on aircraft. Our next demo aircraft should be here last week of April, first week of May. So if anyone's interested in coming out for a demo, let us know, and we'll have that airplane ready for Wes to give a demo in. And yeah, the other side of production right now is we're basically the S12 also has a few utility uses from some business to business customers. And so we've been able to work out ways to where the production system can simultaneously coexist. And that's led to a lot more flexibility on our side. We're able to build these core units and then at a later stage of production actually decide what that unit's going to become based on order volume and scheduling needs for customers. So that's been a good improvement just again as they modernize. A few updates that we've made to the existing S12 model. The largest and most recent is they've adopted a Duke propeller blade system where for the past 42 years we've been building these blades in-house, which while is a special, custom hand-built, unique aspect, it has been nice to see a very much more efficient system mass producing these blades with a established provider. And so we've got about 4 of these sets in the US as of the end of last year, beginning of this year. And those are now the official production blades that are coming on all the new aircraft that we're receiving. As guys have a need for changing out their blades, that is what is being offered, which has been great. From a customer side of things, it helps to have more readily available stock from Duke since they were able to mass produce these instead of relying on the in-house team, which was just not an efficient system. Another change that we've made is just in the winglet design. Obviously, the short winglets and the long winglets now incorporate Avio style lighting feature, which is just a little bit more aerodynamic lighting, both in the winglets that you can see in the picture, but also we have lighting in the rudder now. They're at the base of the rudder. And then there's been a few developments on the S12 just to improve reliability in various systems. The S12 has been around now for going on, this is essentially the 10th year. And so we've been able to see the factory continue to evolve on this platform and not just let it become a stagnant. It's not the same aircraft it was 10 years ago, to put it lightly. So that's been really encouraging to see. The engineering team there at the factory continues to build on that design, but to improve it, to modernize, especially from a wiring standpoint. There's been improvements both in how they actually produce the aircraft to improve speed and how quickly they can build the aircraft. But then when it comes to servicing the aircraft, they've made some improvements that make our technicians' lives a little bit easier. And then again, avionics panel variations. The S12 originally started out with an entirely different panel than what we see today, as they continue to find just ways to put a little bit better avionics package in there, and also some variation for when customers have slightly different needs or desires. Again, the core kind of philosophy there at the factory has remained the same. They are not concerned with becoming a high volume, mass produced aircraft manufacturer. They want to build the best product they can. And so a lot of the improvements we've seen have been internal to their systems and processes, so that they can build a better aircraft. They're not concerned with hitting larger numbers. They just want the numbers they build to be the best quality aircraft that they can produce, which has been, I think, it's been discussed at length for the past few years, and it has been proven, over the past year or so as a lot of these developments have matured and actually fleshed out into production aircraft. The factory, while they don't have exact news on exactly where they're going to go with the power plant design, that's the main focus right now from an R&D standpoint, and that's where they are investing a lot of time and resources there at the factory to figure out what is the best way to essentially replace the 914 and how to go about that power plant and powertrain system to to make it a little bit more efficient, to bring it up to a more modern stage. Again, what we see today is really very much the same powertrain that's been in that aircraft since the S10VT family came on board. And so they're working on kind of that next step in propulsion and how they want to implement today's technology into that aircraft and begin to future-proof the S12 and whatever the next model variant looks like years down the road. And so hopefully we'll see some, in the next year or so, we'll see some real information come out as they begin to unveil what their plans and what their tests have produced. Again, with the B2B connection that we have, both in the US and in Europe, we've seen that those customers and that product line that we build for the non-sport side, it's only improved the processes there at the factory. Their technology systems have been vastly upgraded as we have to meet higher standards on the utility platforms. And that's just bled into the S12 line, which is it's an added value, I think, for both sides. There's variability in what the factory is producing, but the common goal is the same, which is just to create a very high value, high performance touring motor glider. Service and support for the US looks like Stemme USA. I mean, we're not a distributor. We are directly owned and operated by the factory. So as far as from a customer standpoint, when customers need something, they reach out to myself, to Wes, to the team here in South Carolina, and we are the main interface between customers and factory. Thankfully, we have a daily interface with factory teams, the departments there. It is every single day that we are communicating with those guys now, and that's greatly improved both the ability to serve customers, but also the ability to assist in kind of bringing American customer support philosophies over to Germany. And we've seen a lot of growth on their side over the past few years as we have been able to improve spare parts delivery, the US stock that we have here in South Carolina, and then really the ability to gain technical support, technical data and documents from the factories and engineering team there to quickly solve and remedy issues that we face over here. The factory about a year and a half ago, going on 2 years now, they got the FAA 145 repair station certificate opened up over there in Germany. So now we have a factory owned and operated repair station to be able to streamline that propeller overhaul process, which again has been a vast improvement from years prior. Now we're seeing overhauls take place in a matter of, they can turn them in about 2 weeks. The biggest time now is just spent moving the aircraft or the assembly, propeller assembly from the US to Germany, which again, you can speed that up with the power of the dollar. But we've been very pleased with the ability to get propellers serviced and overhauled in a very quick turnaround time now. We have steady, very routine parts deliveries from Germany over here. And again, it's all been kind of due to the current management's team's dedication to taking care of the US fleet, because it is the largest kind of grouping of STEMIs in the world, located here in the US. So I'll open it up to questions. Obviously, if you have any specific questions that can't be answered here tonight by myself or Wes, please feel free to reach out directly to me, and we'll make sure that we can answer anything you may have questions about.
Thanks, Zach. This is great. I appreciate it very much. I don't know if I ever told you this. I was able to snag a ride in an S12 years ago in Minden when
Okay.
Jerry Heaney had an S12 out there at one point.
Absolutely.
And I had done a little bit of training with him, so he He was kind enough to take me up for a ride in the S12. Very nice machine. Um, I'm looking at questions on the chat. I don't see anything specific for STEMI at the moment, but this applies to all of the participants. So feel free, Paul and Kagan, to turn on your videos if you want. But the issue of tariffs has been raised more than once on these webinars. Um, and obviously, this is like sand sifting or shifting beneath your feet. Why I can't talk tonight. Anyway, things are changing all the time in the tariff arena. Um, if you could, I guess, tell us a little bit about your experience on the tariff side, if you have any that you're willing to share. So, Zach, maybe I'll start with you first since you had the mic last.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to share. Tariffs. Obviously, last year, uh, when they came about in February March timeframe, it uh, it, it changed a lot, and I can say firsthand we've spent a ton of money paying tariffs the past year. Now, when the European trade agreement took place in about August, and from that point on, we were at least able to become uh, tariff free for the most part when we were importing aircraft into the US. The aircraft up until that point, in between that kind of March to August timeframe, we were paying tariffs on directly for those aircraft. Thankfully, post August, we haven't paid any tariffs directly on the aircraft themselves. However, we still deal with steel and aluminum tariffs when it comes to spare parts, and it depends on really who the freight forwarder is. When we're able to bring parts in directly through our own customs broker in bulk quantities, we're able to avoid tariffs. But UPS and FedEx, in trying to go through the disputing process as they kind of assign whatever duty they feel like, and so in that case, we're still paying 15% at times, up to 50% on steel and aluminum. But thankfully, for the large ticket items like the aircraft, uh, we've been able to kind of circumvent now and be able to become tariff free. However, with recent news, even in the past few weeks, some of that may be up in the air again, but we're waiting to see. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The most recent Supreme Court ruling might have changed all of that, right? So,
exactly. Yeah.
um, so I'll go to you, Paul. Any other perspective on that issue from your end?
No, it's been a very difficult year because of the tariffs. I mean, it's been up and down and back and forth. Right now, I've been successful with a few shipments by having a customs broker work with UPS and DHL to bring it in and FedEx. But contacting DHL and FedEx and UPS and getting them to work with a customs broker is they're huge companies dealing with millions of customers, so they aren't responsive, they don't listen, they don't care. But so they like he Zach said, if you don't have a customs broker, they're just going to assign it whatever tariff, even though you tell them when you ship it what the tariff code should be and that it's an aircraft part and it should be no tariffs. They just assign whatever they want, and it's usually been 15% tariffs. But I've had success in the recent months with no tariffs. But the new ruling should help. But also, then in the next day, he says he's going to put a 15% across the board. So I don't know what that means. So I don't know. The biggest problem is I don't know until 3 weeks after the shipment arrives what the tariff's going to be because I don't get billed by the UPS or whoever until way much later. So it's been
Yeah,
challenging, making some
and
progress,
and
but it's difficult.
so somebody had a follow up on that, and you're having that same experience with all sorts of parts, such as instruments and other things. It's not just the sailplanes themselves, I would assume.
Right, storing instruments too, and then also at a shipment with of probes from ESA systems, which unfortunately the part number included AL in the name because they were the aluminum tip probes rather than the carbon fiber probes. And suddenly there was a 200% tariff on they were trying to put on because they were Russia aluminum from Russia apparently, which was totally made up. I don't know where they got that, but it's been really challenging.
Yeah, ouch. Uh, Kagan, any other insights from your organization on this?
Yeah, and a lot of the same things that we were experiencing from both John and or Zach and Paul, excuse me. Whereas last year we were experiencing a lot of the 10% tariffs on the aircraft, we were expecting it to hurt us quite a bit. Truthfully, we didn't experience as much of a downfall or a reduction in orders as we were expecting. So we were able to, and I think that was a lot of Pipistrel actually fronted a lot of the tariffs, so it wasn't falling on the customer. Something they've done to combat that too is so in August it was moved away from where aircraft were no longer being tariffed as they were coming in, but a lot of the parts were because they were still coming from Slovenia. And so we now have a warehouse based in Wichita, and on those parts we're not seeing those tariffs anymore, at least not on the customer front. There are still some things that are being tariffed, such as like wings and those larger things that need to be replaced. They're coming from the factory, but Textron has been fronting those.
Excellent. Oh, that's great information. I don't see any other comments in the chat at the moment, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. We've been in the meeting for about an hour, so perfectly on time, I think, from my perspective. This has been fantastic. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking the time to talk with our audience. Um, as I mentioned at the top of the hour, we'll have a recording available for this webinar, which I should say the link for the recording will be available via our website. We're not hosting the recording on our website at the moment, but we'll make a link available. The recording is private. It's a private link, so not everybody can get access to it directly. So. Just a couple things in the chat. I put the email for motorglider.org and also my personal email. Please send me ideas for future webinars, content, etc. I'm hoping that get to see all of you at the SSA convention. Again, it's going to be in Reno, November 4th through the 7th. So, kind of after the soaring season ends this year. So look forward information from the SSA about that particular event. So, and again, my thanks to Paul, Kagan, and Zach for presenting tonight. Thank you very much. And we'll look forward to those of you that want to join us on the 16th of April for our next webinar about airports that you might consider flying out of. And then if you have an airport that you want to talk about in the future, let me know. Be happy to have another one in the fall, another webinar in the fall to talk about other airports. So hopefully this has been useful to you. So with that, I'll bid you good night. Thanks again. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Dan.
You're welcome.